Alright, for today we have a Craftsman self-propelled 21-inch high tunnel mulching mower, front gear drive, single speed, 6.25 Briggs and Stratton. Do a quick walk around here. Looks like it's been sitting a while. I didn't get the full story. This is for fixing for a neighbor that moved away, and assuming he's going to sell it or don't know. Got the bagger, and I know absolutely nothing about it. So we'll go through it together, assess it, and see what it's going to take to get this thing going. So just on a quick look, I see a big split in the rear tire. Really no big deal there. That one just following along, so as long as that tread doesn't separate out. Front ones look okay. He's got the deck all the way up, so he must cut fairly high, or must have been cutting fairly high. All the rest of them are good. Let's see what we got for oil. Yeah, it's pretty dark, but there's at least some on there. Let me wipe that stick and re-dip it here. Trying to do it one hand. It isn't going to work dipping it, cleaning it. There we go. Because I did just move it, so it could have been falsely reading. Yeah, we're in between the lines, so a little on the low side, but not bad. Let's see what's here for fuel, if any. Okay, no fuel. So let's start with some fuel, and first, before I get any fuel in it, I want to flip it up and look at the bottom of the deck to make sure nobody's hit something, and to make sure the blade looks tight before we even bother putting fuel in, then we're going to spill it. Get this thing flipped up here. Let's see how the blade looks. Looks tight. Yep, the washer's all the way up. Got some grass down here, but not in terrible condition. I'm just looking where that is in reference to there. I'm going to turn it around. Yeah, it's bent. This one's bent a little bit. It is bent a little bit. I'm going to try to hold the camera steady so you guys can see. This one comes in a little higher, but I'm not too worried about that. Maybe I should be. Maybe that's bent more than it looks. But anyway, okay, so we got that. The engine spins over, so that's where we're at on that. I'm just going to try some gas and see what we can get out of it, if anything. Just some things I'm noticing as I'm going around the mower. This wheel is worn much more than this wheel, which still has the grooves all the way across. This one, they're kind of worn out. So I'm wondering if possibly the transmission or those little gear pawls or something isn't grabbing on that wheel. We'll know when I get it started, if we get it started. And I can see the carburetor has just started leaking. So our newly introduced fuel has shown our problem. What I was going to go for was the air cleaner to make sure we're good with no rodents, but it'll end up showing me where the carburetor is leaking from. Is that just fuel line, or is that the carburetor itself with the float stuck, which is maybe why it didn't have gas in it. Okay, so this engine's been run. It's not new, but probably workable. Let's see where the fuel... Yeah, the fuel was coming out here. I can see the wetness coming down, so it was over flooding. So let's just plan on pulling the carburetor and getting the needle and seat unstuck, because it's obviously stuck wide open, the needle or the float, and it is letting in and fuel and flooding out the engine. Alright, let's see what 3 screws will bring us as far as getting into that carburetor. Get this air cleaner box off. Good. And when we put it back together, we have to make sure that this gets in there. Let's see if the primer bulb. Yeah, I could see some bubbles come out when I push it, so that's probably still okay to use. Looks rubbery, at least for right now. That gasket is pretty much shot. That gasket has to be good, because if not, this plastic channel that the primer bulb deals with will not prime. If this and this doesn't have a good seal, it goes in that little hole right there, and puff some air in there, and if that isn't a good seal, nothing's going to work for you. But luckily the gasket, where it broke, I could just dab a little sealant there and would be okay, because the part that needs to be good is, you know, you can reuse more of these things than people want to admit. And then we're gonna need probably 10 millimeter for that one. Let me get some more tools, bring you back. Okay, got more tools. Let's take the fuel line off. Hopefully we'll be uphill enough. I got the whole mower tilted here in case the camera angle doesn't show that. It is tilted well on an angle. Yeah, it's pretty good. We can keep that kind of up. I think we'll be... Oh, I pulled it off the tank side. There we go. If that'll stay there, that'll cooperate. Bring in a little bit here if I can. Let's see what I'm doing. 3/8 actually seem to fit this better. There we go. 1 bolt, 2 bolt, and a single. This one doesn't have a choke. Oh, I just broke that gasket the rest of the way. So it doesn't even have a choke plate. Just the primer, I guess, is enough on this one. There goes the rest of the gasket. Now, that's the way this one goes. Now let's take this carburetor, open it up, and see what's inside there. Feels very full, as expected. My original suspicions are that this thing was just sitting too long, and probably corrosion got in there, and the needle, which is supposed to move up and down freely with the float, is just stuck in one position. And the position that it's in is the fill position, which means it overfills and never shuts off. It just keeps asking for more gas. Okay, so you may notice I have gone from outside to inside. Just want to pop this thing open. I'm probably going to be going with a replacement carb anyway, because these are super cheap for this model. And I don't know what horrors I will find in here. Oh, surprisingly not terrible. But we know the needle is stuck. It's now unstuck. But this gas smells nasty. There's the needle. Not in as bad shape as I had expected. These ones do have the metal tip needle and the rubber washer in there. Some of these, they look like they're metal, but they're actually like a silvery graphite rubber tip. But regardless, just to make sure it runs right, and the new one comes with this gasket and the mounting gasket. This gasket I'm going to need, so might not need the mounting gasket because this one came off clean, and I think it's a rubber O-ring type. But either way, get all new stuff, then we're not going to have any comebacks, and I don't have to clean this one. Also, this one, if you look, there's a hole right, if you can see it close enough, there's a hole right there. You have to clean that one, and a lot of these there, I think, or is that the Comsa? This one's a Briggs, by the way, even though it says Craftsman. Some of them have a small hole there. Any little thing gets clogged. I'm not even going to mess with this one for the price I can get the kit for with the gaskets. Get them a new air filter, get everything all together, and that's the way I'm going to roll on this one. Can't remember quite where I left off because I left this project about a month ago, but basically it was replacing the carburetor. I have ordered a new carburetor, received a new carburetor, new air filter. Going to need a gasket for the primer assembly, and another one for right there, which is just an O-ring style. It just literally goes on and smushes the O-ring. Very simple installation. Let's get to it. So anytime you get a part, you want to kind of compare it. Do you have the right one? Did they send the right one? Did you order the right one? Just look at the linkages, where the fuel line hooks up. General flange thickness is pretty close. I think we're on a good track here. This one looks to be a suitable replacement. So I'm just going to swap these over, and that's all we need off the old one, I think. Surprisingly, it came with the O-ring and the primer gasket, which is unbelievable, being that I already ordered some extra primer gaskets. It's one of those things, if you don't have them, when you need them, you get awful frustrated for $1 or $2 part. So as I said, this is the part that's going to seal the carburetor. It'll go there and get smushed when it goes onto the piece that this will fit over a piece, and then it'll get smushed into that when it goes. And then this piece is for the air cleaner primer assembly. If they get warped or if they get cracked, sometimes you may need to use 2 of these to take out the amount of warpage, or just replace the primer air cleaner housing, because if not, you'll try to prime it and it won't prime for nothing, and you'll think you have a piece of junk mower when really all you have is it's not priming properly. This one does not have a choke, so it relies only on the prime to help you get it started. Let's get down here, get that old gasket off. O-ring, I'm going to call it. It really is a true O-ring. New O-ring. I would assume the old one is pretty smushed. Alright, putting the new one on couldn't be easier. Only one linkage in one hole for the throttle. Line that up. Nice. I'm going to bolt it on before I put the fuel line on, just to make it easier to put the fuel line on. Get that one started. One of those little screws came out. Don't lose those down the carburetor if you have it tilted to the side like I do. Wow, those sockets do not want to come off there. 2 in a row. Okay, I had that fuel line up and out of the way. Let's see, we still got fuel in there? Yep. I thought there was still some in there, if I was remembering back. Nice. Now comes the part with the little gasket, and that goes right onto here. There's a couple pins that help hold it while you install. Mine's got a little junk there. Let me get that out of there. There we go. How do you go? This way? Just like that. A couple little pins. You just impale that gasket right on there, and she'll hold still while you install it. Other thing, crankcase vent, that's got to go in that hole. 3 bolts total, 2 into the carburetor, 1 into the bracket. Nice. Brand new air filter. And our housing. Same bolt. Same size. Nice. Alright, first time, real deal. I have not warmed it up. I have not tried to fire it. Nice. Now what I like to do is give it a couple on and off hits with the handle, the kill handle, and what you're testing for is the recovery and to make sure that that throttle is, governor is activating properly. Cold engine, so I guess I shouldn't expect much. I'm in the middle of winter here. I call that perfect. Now the only other thing that I remember now is I noticed these adjusters on the wheels are all the way up and the blade was bent. I wasn't sure how bad it was bent, but the more I looked at it, the more I realized it was bent pretty bad, which is probably why they have it all the way up, because the blade has bent downwards and is probably scalping the grass because it's at a strange angle. It's, you know, kind of brushing the grass rather than cutting it. So that needs a new blade. Okay, so I don't have that blade in stock, unfortunately. Thought I had a spare, very common MTD blade, even though this says Craftsman. We started with a non-runner gas leaking machine, and now we got a good running usable machine again, minus a brand new blade, which I will not bore you with the details of installing. It's 1 bolt and you put it on there. So I hereby declare this Craftsman mower Wildwood certified. Thanks for watching.